Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us for our weekly Wednesday creativity workshop with Adobe Education. My name is Clara Galan, for those of you who I haven't met, and I work on the Adobe Education team managing educator communities. And so today, Wednesday, May 29th, I'm excited to be joined by Adobe Education Leader Kathryn Riley, who's a multimedia teacher in Phoenix, Arizona. And we'll be sharing Character Animator for primary students today. So Kathryn, thanks so much for joining us, and I'll go ahead and hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Clara. Hello to everyone. Thank you for joining us for this creativity workshop. I've been teaching for 41 years, and I've been using the Adobe products and the Macromedia products since the early 90s. Started with Photoshop and Adobe PageMaker, which is now InDesign. And we've been using the Creative Cloud programs in my classroom for the past several years. And I've always wanted to try Character Animator, so we actually delved into it this year. So I wanted to share with you some things that we did in my classroom with my students because we have limited cameras, we had limited resources to actually use the program until this year. I teach at a middle school in Phoenix. As Clara said, I'm in Phoenix. And I have 6 classes of an elective called multimedia, and it's all teaching students creativity using the Creative Cloud products. I have 42 computers in my classroom, and the class is very popular because the kids absolutely love Adobe products. So I have sometimes between 36 to 42 students in my classroom. So we went ahead and tried Character Animator this year. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we came up with and what works for us, and it may or may not work for you. I do not have a camera on all the computers, and I don't have a camera for every student, so we kind of had to work around that a little bit. So for the first lesson, we wanted to make sure the program was working well on the computers. We have Windows computers with Windows 10. And we wanted to make sure the cameras were working, so we just did something very simple and there's some puppets at a website called headsofcurriculum.com, which were created by another Adobe Education leader named Kevin McMahon. And so I sent the students to this website, and I had them all, it happened to be in October when we started, so I went ahead and had them download the Scully character, which is right here. And I have to tell you, we were limited into what characters we could download because our district installs the Creative Cloud at the beginning of the year, and then they don't do any updates at all. So a lot of these puppets we couldn't use because we didn't have the newer version, but we will next year. So I directed the students to go to this website and to download Slim Bob Skelly. So you click on Slim Bob Skelly, and he's not working. Yay. Okay, and I've already downloaded him. So, oh, there he is. Okay. So click download. And then what I have to tell the students is when Slim Bob Skelly downloads, he downloads into a zip file, a zip folder, so you can't see the puppet when you go to import it, so you actually have to move the puppet to your desktop. So the students can go to their desktop and drag Slim Bob Skelly to the desktop. And we've already got one there because I've done it earlier. So now we're going to go ahead and open Character Animator. And I always have the students save their project first. And at my school, we save everything to the desktop because our network drives are really slow. And it's easier for us to save everything to the desktop. And then later, when the students export the final movies to me, we share them to our network drive, and that works best for us. So as you can see, I already have the puppet in there. And we import it into the program. And try that again, import. There he goes. Okay, so now he's up here in the project bin. So we drag him down to the timeline. And I have a simple Logitech camera plugged into my computer, and you can see the red dots on my face. You can see my microphone's working, my camera's working. We didn't have any issues. I have seen over 500 students this year, and we did not have a single issue with the program or with any of the cameras working at school, so we're very happy with that. So when you're ready, you just hit Set Rest Pose. And you can see all the red dots on my face, and then I have the students move their heads around a little bit. You can move your eyebrows. You can move your mouth. And then I told them to just record a conversation. And since I did not have enough cameras for every student, you can see my mouth is moving with my voice. Since I didn't have enough cameras for every student, I had the students actually pull 2 Scullys into the timeline. And they were to record a 30-second creative conversation between the 2 Scullys. So You can see the skellies are on top of each other. So what you would do is you would click on the timeline onto one of the skellies. And then over here on the right, you can see scale and anchor. So we would want to go ahead and move that a little bit to one side. And then you can click on the other skelly and move that skelly over. Oh, move him up. Move him to one side. Okay, so now they're side by side. And to be more creative, to help them with their 30-second conversation they're going to have, I had them go find a cool background and download it and put that behind the skeleton. So we use Pix for Learning at my district because that's where we have a subscription. So I talked to the students about making sure the photos they downloaded were high resolution images, so they would look pixelated when they put them as backgrounds. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab a background from a photo on my computer. So I'm going to go to File, Import, and go. I've got this photo that we took at school, and it's up here in the project bin, and you drag that to the timeline. And you can see it's a really high resolution photo. So I actually want to make it smaller. So I'm going to click on that layer in the timeline and I'm going to scale it down a little bit. And I also can move that over a little bit. That way. All right, so now you're ready to record. And all you have to do is click on one of the Slim Bob Skellies on the timeline. I've already hit set rest pose. So now I'm going to click record. And you'll have a 3-second countdown, and then you can start recording your voice. So I hit record. Hello, I'm Slim Bob Skelly. I'm here to show you about Character Animator. Hey, my students love it. The 6th graders loved it especially. And you can hit record again. And then it's going to, you can see it created all the keyframes and animations on the timeline. And you can play it. Hello, I'm Slim Bob Skelly. I'm here to show you about Character Animator. Hey, my students love it. The 6th graders loved it especially. And you can hit record. And then I can leave the playhead right here. And then click on my other Slim Bob Skelly. I think that's the right one. And hit record again. Yes, the students do love this program. Very easy to use. It allowed the students to be very creative in the stories that they wrote. It's a good writing creativity piece. And then hit record again. And then you can play your conversation between your two skeletons. Hello, I'm Slim Bob Skelly. I'm here to show you about Character Animator. Hey, my students love it. The 6th graders loved it especially. And you can hit record. Yes, the students do love this program. Very easy to use. It allowed the students to be very creative in the stories that they wrote. It's a good writing creativity piece. And then hit record. All right, and so the next thing left to do is to export from the program, so you can export it as an MPEG file. But first you can see right here that it's defaulted at 30 seconds, and we didn't notice that at first. So when we were exporting, it was taking a lot longer than it needed to take. So if you click on the timeline and you go up here to duration, you'll see it says 30 seconds, and then you can change that down. My movie's about 20 some seconds, so you can change that to what it actually is. And then to export the movie, you would go to File, Export, and you want to export via Adobe Media Encoder, and I'm not going to do it because it takes a little bit of time. And what happens when you click there, Adobe Media Encoder will open, and it will default to an H.264 file, which is an MPEG file that's good for like Facebook or YouTube or something. And there's a little green play button in the upper right corner of Media Encoder that you can go ahead and hit, and then within a few minutes it will export the video to wherever you want to export. So that's the first lesson that we do. And if you look at the web page I made for you guys, here's a couple examples. That this was 3 girls that recorded this example.
Ha 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 ha. Why are you laughing? She hasn't said anything yet. Why did the ocean say to the shore? I don't know. What did it say? Laughing and just wait. Ha 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 ha.
Wow, this tiger behind us looks really hungry. He's licking his lips and everything.
I don't think you know your cats, dude. That's a lion, not a tiger.
Well, whatever I say, I'm gonna tell this lion a joke so I can run away.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Why don't you tell him the joke now?
Okay, fine. What do you call a lion that uses a copy machine?
I don't know. What do you call a lion that uses a copy machine?
A copycat.
That was the worst joke I've ever heard, but it was pretty funny.
Okay, as you can see, so much noise in the background, so that was a big problem. And also because of the noise in the background, you can see the mouths of the skeletons were moving when the students weren't moving their mouths. So it was all over the place. So we tried a couple of things. I put a sign up on the projector screen that said recording now. So we wait a few minutes and everybody work on their products, and then we would try to have quiet time in the classroom and put this sign up on the screen that said quiet recording. But then no one wanted to record because no one wanted anyone else to hear their voices. None of the sixth graders wanted. It was just not one child would say their voice out loud with people when it was quiet. So that didn't work either. So we continued recording our first lesson in the classroom. So that led me to do a little exploring. And we went on to lesson 2, which is a really fun lesson the students really enjoyed. And this has to do with using the lip sync feature. And you can record or find audio online, and then you can lip sync that into the product. So actually you don't even need to have cameras at all. So if you don't have any cameras at all, you can still use this product. So let me show you that lesson. So back to Character Animator, I'm going to start a new project. Okay, and also for this lesson, it shows the students how you can use Adobe Photoshop with the characters to change some of the characters. So you go to the Start button, and you can see all of these wonderful characters that students can practice with. But like I said, we were very limited because of the version that we have. We were only able to use the blank face, Chloe, this guy, this doctor here, which actually looks like one of our 7th grade teachers, so we made a funny video about him, and then Wendigo, and then Bongo. So I had the students start with the puppet blank face. And when you open this puppet from the, oh, good, Illustrator opened. Okay, usually it opens in Photoshop, so that's interesting that it opened in Illustrator. Let me see what happens with that. But anyway, while we're waiting for that to open, there's a website I've been using for years called MediaCollege.com, and this is where we went to get some audio from, because our district blocks all sound and audio to the students because of inappropriate audio and sound. And for some reason, they were not able to find this website. I've been using it forever for my video projects. So if you go to Downloads, and if you go to Sound Effects, you'll see TV and movies. And there are some inappropriate things here. So I just told my students to stay away from the inappropriate files. Please don't play them out loud. Of course, they went right to the farting and farting and barking sound effects, which I made them stop. But anyway. So you can go like to Napoleon Dynamite, and this one's a pretty funny one. This is pretty much the worst video ever made, so you can right click and download that, which I've already done. So I'm going to go back to Character Animator and see if I can get him to open in Photoshop this time. Let me try this again, because I like Photoshop better than Illustrator to change the product. So let's go to a new project again. And please, it worked earlier today, so I'm not sure why it opened in Illustrator this time. So you go to Start, and double click on blank face, and it opens, hopefully, yay, it's in Photoshop this time. Okay, so we have been using Photoshops earlier in the year, so the students were very familiar with the layers. So we looked through the layers, and we went through what the layers meant. If you see a plus sign, that means it's going to be animated into the character. We talked about not changing any of these names, not dragging any of the layers around, but you can add new layers. So for this lesson, we wanted to introduce them to the Photoshop concept in Character Animator. So we went down and clicked on the face background, and we're going to add color to the face. And how to do that is to get the elliptical tool or the ellipse tool and pick a color that you like, and they picked all kinds of fun colors for their faces. And then just draw the ellipse around the face, and then if you hold the space bar down, you can move your lips. All right, I need a little bit bigger, so let me drag it a little bit bigger, and then I hold the space bar down, and then you let go, and then there's color on the head. When I teach, I don't just tell students what to do. I usually have them try to explore first, or try to guess or figure out. So at this point, I would say how I would tell them to file save, and we'd go back to Character Animator, and they would guess that it would be automatically updated in there, which it is. So there's the face. And then the next step would be to find a cool background to match the face. I'm sorry, back in Photoshop. Depending on what sound they have, like I downloaded the Napoleon Dynamite sound, so they would have to go and add some things to make this character look more like Napoleon Dynamite. So you can like go up to the head, and you could add a new layer above the eyebrow and call it hair. Now the hair is not going to move because there's no plus sign, but you can click on the hair, and then you can use the tools to maybe draw some hair onto your character. I don't remember what Napoleon Dynamite looks like. Anyway, so you can like draw some hair, whatever you want to draw. And once again, when you hit save and go back to Character Animator, it automatically refreshes and shows, oh, isn't that great? Okay. Anyway, so that once they design their character head in Photoshop, then you want to add the lip sync audio. So you would go to Import, and I downloaded this Napoleon Dynamite audio from the media website, and drag this down to the timeline. So you would select the audio, hold the shift key down, and select a blank face. And then you would go to timeline and compute lip sync. And it actually happens pretty quickly, and it works really well. So let me play that for you.
This is pretty much the worst video ever made.
Okay, so after they did that, then you have to add a background here. So once again, they would go ahead to Picks for Learning, and they would find a background that they would download. I'm going to use the same one I've already had. And you can drag that down to the timeline. And then once again, you want to go over to the scale and scale the tool. I can also click on the blank face head, and I can move that over to the side if I want, and I can also scale that up or down if I want. So, and then once again, you can see that my video is only a few seconds long, but it's a default of 30. So you want to click on this timeline and go to duration and change it down more to match your video. And then you would save it with, you would export it in Media Encoder again. So I have some samples to show you from this. Not that. Sorry, this one.
Captain, we are being hailed.
Here's another one.
I caught you a delicious bass. This is pretty much the worst video ever made.
That was the second lesson that we did, and the students really, really enjoyed this one. So we still have the issue of audio, so I wanted to do something more and let them use all the things that they learned with Photoshop and with backgrounds and audio. So we went ahead and went to our third lesson, and in this lesson they had to have Chloe as one of their characters, and they had to change Chloe. She's just changed a little bit in this video, but a lot of kids changed her hair, and they made her a boy, got rid of her barrette, gave her a mustache, and then everybody could use one of the other characters. So they have Chloe and Wendigo. And I'll play this video for you first, because the creative part was the writing. And so they found a background with goats, and they chose that for some reason, but then they came up with a really cool conversation between these two with the goats.
Hello, my name is Lauren.
Hi, I'm Wendy.
Do goats scare you?
Heck yeah, they're the scariest.
What's so scary about them?
You have got to be kidding me. Everything about them.
Okay, come on, be specific.
They're always butting in.
Have you ever wondered what a goat's favorite drink is?
Is it Gatorade?
Meh.
How did you do that? It's so cool. Meh.
Yeah, because it's the greatest of all time.
Yeah, okay, whatever floats your goat. I told my parents I wanted to raise goats for a living, but I was only kidding.
You're so funny. Meh.
Okay, once again, those are sixth grade girls. I thought their writing was super cute. You can see the arms are moving around a little weirdly, so we'll talk more about that in a minute. But back to Character Animator.
Quick
And
question, Kathryn.
yeah.
I've been monitoring the chat. So for the duration of the lessons, about how long did it take the students to complete this and to try out the new features?
The Scully can be done in a day. Some students needed a day and a half, but most of them got done in a day. They were experimenting with the program, experimenting with their voices, and because they were shy in speaking, it took them a day and a half. The second one, downloading the sound, picking a background, that takes quite a while, and then designing in Photoshop. So that'd be like a 2 or 3 day lesson. And then the final lesson would be a week long because they would have to do the background, they would have to decorate their characters, and then I'm going to tell you how we had the students record the audio on a video camera and then how they got that into the program because of all the noise in my room. We weren't able to use the cameras in the classroom. Okay?
Yeah, great. And I noticed on that last one that you just shared from the sixth grade girls, the background noise was a lot better. So was there specific strategies you used to change that to make the sound clearer?
Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about now. They actually, this last lesson, I had the students take the SLR cameras with microphones that we have, and they went out. They had to write their script and show it to me, and then they went outside in the courtyard and found a quiet place, and they had to record their scripts, and then they have to come back in, and then we use Premiere Pro, which the kids are familiar with because we make movies, and so they had to put I'm going to show you how to do that right now. You're going to put the audio file in Premiere and then remove the video, and then they had to cut up the clips in Premiere and export each clip separately, and then they would import those into Character Animator and then lip sync those, and that's how we got better sound. And so once again, this is a project you can do if you don't have any webcams on your computers. You can still do this project in Character Animator with video cameras. Okay?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So this is where we use Premiere Pro. I used a video camera earlier and recorded my voice. So my students are very familiar with Premiere Pro because we use it all the time. We have a whole project that we use on video production in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So the students will make a new project, and we can just call it audio. And once again, I always have them saved to their desktop. Even though the district doesn't like it, we still do it. They put it in their Character Animator folder, and make sure it's on Mercury Playback Engine software only, and you'll have a less chance of it crashing. All right. So then you'll import the sound, or import the audio that you recorded outside. So here's my audio. And it imports into the project bin, and then you drag it to the timeline. And then you can right-click and unlink the audio from the video, and then you would delete the video. And then I did not use a microphone this morning, so the audio is not as good as if the students had microphones. And even if you don't have microphones, as long as you find that quiet place outside the classroom, it'll still be better than trying to record in the classroom with 36 kids. So I start talking right there. So I'm going to just use this arrow tool, and I'm just going to grab this until I get the red bracket and drag it over. And then right-click and ripple delete, and then hit play.
Here is a sample of how to record audio on a video camera.
Then I would stop it, and I would use the razor blade, and they would click right there, and then it actually would delete this part, and then they would export it, export media, and from the types of media, they choose H.264. I'm sorry, that's not right. They would choose MPEG-3, sorry, or MP3. And then click here. This will let you save it where you want to save it, and back to the desktop. And we just called it like clip 1. and it saves really quickly. And then you hit undo, and so that other audio comes back, and you can right click and delete this one, ripple delete, and play the next one.
But you don't.
It starts about right there.
But
So you would grab this and pull it in, ripple delete, and push play.
But you don't have a microphone.
So that's the second conversation. And once again, you click with the razor blade, and you can just delete on your keyboard this one, and then export this one. And once again, you could, it's an MP3, you want to call it clip 2, and export it. And then you would undo that, Control Z, and then you would remove this one. I will left click and ripple delete. And once again, trim that clip.
I know I don't have a microphone at home, but when the students used this at school, we all had microphones.
Gotta get rid of the end. Export clip 3. MP3. Clip 3. I know this is a lot of work, but think of everything that your students are learning. They're learning how to use Premiere. They're learning how to do a lot of work. So they actually were pretty good at it once they figured out how to do it. So back to Character Animator. So we'll get a new project again. And hit save. And then we'll bring in Chloe. Already did that. Hang on. So you go to Start menu, and hopefully Chloe will open in Photoshop. Yay. Okay. So once again, we're back into the layers, and we went over like where the head is. You can open that up. The mouth, background shows everything, shows the different letters for the mouth, background, body. There's the hair. This is where they were able to turn off and make her look more like a boy. You could change the background color on that. We got rid of that hair. And then you can make her more like a boy. They would have to turn off the eyes to find out where exactly there's the barrette. So there's the barrette. They could turn the barrette off. This is it says it's unnamed, it's actually the hair, so you could actually click on there and probably change the hair color with the paint bucket. Let's see if that works.
A quick question from the chat, Kathryn. So first off, there's a lot of different steps. Do you record the lessons kind of in a flipped classroom model for kids to review them later if they're lost or if they were absent that day?
No. When kids are absent, when they come back to class, I either work with them at lunch or before school, or students in my class are allowed to get up and help each other, and they're encouraged to do that. And what will happen is, while I'm taking attendance and starting class, they will get that kid caught up that fast, because the kids are, especially sixth graders. Sixth graders are better than eighth graders, really good at this kind of stuff. So they get the kids started in the program. They get them pretty much caught up pretty quickly, and we help a lot in class. But I don't really have time to record all these lessons because I do so much stuff with all the programs. So I usually don't. I'll see if I can figure something like that maybe for the future, but it hasn't. I do coaching at school. I do all the videos for our school. I do the news shows. So I don't really have a lot of extra time. I can sit down and record all these lessons. So the kids are really good at helping each other, and then we help them on during lunch and before school.
Yeah, no, completely makes sense. And then the other question from Lucas really quickly is, have you ever considered using Adobe Audition or used it to edit audio before?
No, I need to learn. That's another program I'm trying to learn. Like I said, I've been using Photoshop. I'm pretty good at Photoshop, Premiere Pro, Animate. I know how to use Animate. I know how to use Muse, Dreamweaver. There's so many wonderful programs in the Creative Cloud, and that's another program this summer. In addition to XD, I really want to learn how to use XD this year. So I definitely want to use Audition. We don't have any microphones in my lab though. We have a handful of microphones that we use for our video cameras for our news show, and that's what the kids use when they go out in the courtyard. But we don't have microphones for the computers to record audio, and that's probably why I never really used Audition.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, though. That's a very good idea. Because you're saying you could probably use Audition instead of Premiere Pro to make the audio clips.
Yeah, and yes, and Lucas is putting some comments in here too, which we can follow up later if there's some other ideas to use Audition.
Yeah, I never used that program, but I'm up to hear any. Can you import video that you record on a camera into Audition?
Typing in here, he says yes.
Oh, cool. All right, yeah, we definitely have Audition. I'll definitely research that this summer. So that sounds good. This is just, like I said, this is just stuff that we made up ourselves because we wanted to try to use Character Animator this year. We had limited equipment and situations. I'm not by any means an expert on Character Animator. It's just something that we used with the elementary kids, and they absolutely loved it. I shared these lessons with 2 other teachers at the 2 other middle schools and gave them my cameras, and their students loved it too. So we're going to try to, next year when we get back, when we do Character Animator again, we're going to try to create our own characters this time, draw our own.
Nice.
Draw our own in Photoshop and Illustrator. So this is what we've done so far. So anyway. So when you hit File Save and you go back to Character Animator, it should automatically update. I just saw some kind of weird error message, so I'm not sure why it didn't update. So if it doesn't update, then what you can do is you can have them make sure they know where this is saved. So we would save this into our folder. And this has happened quite a few times where we had to do, you can call it like Chloe 2 or something. So it's a little bit different. And then you can actually import this into Character Animator to make sure you're on the right one if that one doesn't update. So you can go to File, Import, and get the new Chloe that you made. Oh, it did update. Okay, good. It did update. Okay, good. All right. Anyway, so there's the first character, and then you know how to import backgrounds, and then we would import the second character. They had to use one of the other monsters. I'm sorry. Go to Start, and we'll grab Wendigo, and it's opening in Photoshop. So back to Character Animator, and you would import the I'm sorry, it's already there. So you got the Wendigo scene down here, so you would double click to get the Chloe scene back. And then you can drag Wendigo down. And they're on top of each other, so then you would click on one of the layers and move them over. Click on Chloe and move Chloe over. And also move Chloe down a little bit. And the students that finish, well, if you import you can import your audio that you made. And you can drag the clip down. And then you would just hold the control key down to select the 2, and then you could do the timeline and compute lip sync. And that's how they made that final video, that example that we showed you.
Here is a sample of how to...
It's pretty amazing how the lip sync matches the characters. It's pretty cool. And then finally, students that finish first or students that are more advanced, you can show them how to do rigging. And we'll do more of that next year too. So you can actually click on Chloe and go to rig. And if you click on the body, you'll see you can take this one called where is it? Dragger tool, and click on the hips. That makes the hips draggable. You can click on the stick tool and click, and then you can make the arms move. And then when you go back to record, when you record, you can move the hips and you can move the arms. And same thing with Wendigo. I think Wendigo's already got quite a bit already set up on him if you go to rig. If you click on the body, you can see, yeah, he's got a lot of stuff that's already movable. So back to record, and then you can record, you can click on the layer and record those at different times. So that was the final project, and that one took about a week. But I'd be interested to hear more about Audition, definitely. So I don't really have anything else. Like I said, I'm not an expert. This is what we did with my 6th graders. They absolutely ate it up and loved it. They were really good at it. They learned a lot about technology. They learned a lot about working together. Were able to use their techniques in Photoshop layers and in Premiere Pro. So that's all I have right now.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kathryn. And if those who are watching the recording have more questions and want to get in touch with you, I'll share out the link to your website in addition to the recording. But is there another way to get in touch with you or access additional resources for those who have more questions?
Probably that email is probably the best way.
Great. And would you mind putting your email in the chat, and then we can share it out to those who are watching the recording?
Yes.
Okay, and while Kathryn is typing that, we invite you next week, so on Wednesday, June 5th at 12 o'clock Pacific time, we will have Karen, who's one of our Adobe Education leaders from the Netherlands, presenting how to use XD to pitch artwork to clients. So a fun activity for students, especially to prepare them for future creative careers in the workforce. And again, Kathryn's email address I have right here. It's azmel14@cox.net. All right. Well, thank you again, Kathryn, so much for joining us.
Thank you. That was fun.
Okay. And thanks for everyone for watching the recording, and we'll see you next week.